let's go see if this thing is right.
Let's talk about nature study. Now, some of you might be watching this on YouTube or listening to it as a podcast episode. So from now on, I'm going to be making videos and the same audio I'm just going to use as a podcast so that you can see things as well as listen to them. So if you're listening to this as an audio podcast, you can click on the link to the YouTube video so you can see what I'm going to be showing you in the videos. So today I'm going to talk about my personal favorite subject in school, which is nature study. Now, this is one of the things that drew me to Charlotte Mason's method, because when I was little, I grew up on a farm, and being out in nature, catching animals, studying plants, and gardening with my dad was my favorite thing to do. We learned so much about nature just from forming relationships with it. And that comes down to some of the principles that Charlotte Mason has for nature study, as well as all education, which is education is the science of relations. And she has a quote, which is a famous quote, one of my favorites. She said, "We were all meant to be naturalists, each in his degree, and it is inexcusable to live in a world so full of marvels of plant and animal life and to care for none of these things." So I'm going to talk to you about the essentials or the principles of nature study so that you are better equipped to simplify, to get down to the bare essentials and make your teaching more powerful and get rid of the fluff and things that you don't need to do. So, principle number 1 is that the purpose of nature study is not to cram lots of knowledge and information into your child's mind. The point is to gain knowledge. If that were the point, we could just read some books and call it done. But the main purpose is to hone the powers of observation, to nurture the 5 senses, and to, again, just hone that power of attention and observation. So nature study isn't just for gaining knowledge. We are developing faculties of mind that you really can't do in any other way. So one quote that I really like from a Parents Review article, this is an article by Reverend A. Thornley, who was a reverend and also a naturalist. He said that we are found in nature study, or we have found in nature study, a most potent instrument for the education of our children. For it develops the seeing eye and the hearing ear. It satisfies the insatiable curiosity of childhood, lays the foundation of art, in an early appreciation of beauty, and of science in a gradual perception of laws. And last but not least, of religion, in that it increases the sense of reverence, wonder, and awe. So from that quote, I mean, that's just such a powerful quote, and I love it. It really just outlines all the reasons why we should study nature, but that it develops the eye and the ear, and it creates wonder and curiosity, which we want to do within our children. In a world where we have Google and we know everything, there's so much we don't know about nature. And so when we study nature, it's this grand place where we don't know everything, so we can wonder. And it also helps them understand the perception of laws, of natural laws, and all the sciences are based from nature study. I love reading about scientists, their biographies, and how there was something in nature that they wondered about, some questions they had, and all started in nature. So that's the number 1 reason that we study nature. Then the second thing, the second principle when you're thinking about nature study and how to teach it, is that we are all students of nature. You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to know everything as the teacher. You are a student as well. And so that just takes off so much pressure as a mom. At least it did for me, when I realized I don't have to know everything. I don't have to know the names of all of the species of plants and animals that we see on our nature walk. I don't have to know why this happens or why this animal does this. I am a student as well. Now, I know many of you have probably heard of or have read the book Last Child in the Woods by Richard Louv. And he said, just piggybacking off of this idea that we're all students. He said, if getting our kids out into nature is a search for perfection or is one more chore, then the belief in perfection and the chore defeats the joy. It's a good thing to learn more about nature in order to share this knowledge with children. But it's even better if the adult and the child learn about nature together. And it's a lot more fun. The third principle, and this is along the lines of the first principle, which is that it's not about gaining knowledge as much as it is about honing the faculties of the mind and nurturing good habits of mind, I guess. So the third principle is that we need to study real live plants and animals, not just read books about them, not just watch a documentary, but study real live plants and animals. When we're looking at a book and reading about it, that's not really doing that much. What really is going to nurture wonder and observation is when we study the real thing in the real environment. Now, nature study is an observational science. And so we are not dissecting things. We're not going out in the field to get a flower to bring it in and dissect it, or find a dead animal and dissect it. That's a different science. That's more of an experimental science. Nature study is about life. It's about how these animals adapt and live. And so we want to study live things and preferably in their natural environment. Charlotte Mason said, especially for kids that lived in London during her time, to make a day of it, one day a week, to go on a nature walk in the country and to observe and to just see how the seasons are changing and look for plants and animals. So even if it's just one day a week, to just take a trip to a nature park or a state park and spend a half a day or even a full day there observing the live plants and animals. So that brings me to, how do you study nature using Charlotte Mason's methods, or even in a modern era today where we have so much information at our fingertips and maybe less rural country as there was 150 years ago. So the number one thing is to take weekly nature walks. Now, daily would be even better, but I know for many of us, just carving out one day a week where we go on a nature walk may be all we can do, and that's great. Now, nature walks accomplish a few things. Number one, it's just you're getting outside. You're getting outside, and it's a regular thing. You are not doing a lesson. You are simply walking and observing. So you're observing the seasonal changes. You're observing, you're looking at geographical things, like you're looking at where is the sun in where is the position of the sun during the season, looking at clouds, feeling the wind. You're looking at the trees and the plants. You're noticing which plants and animals are out and about right now during that season. You're just looking at a lot of things. And again, just being in nature, running and playing. And so there's that physical education aspect of it and play aspect of it. So going on a weekly nature walk, and I'm going to do separate videos for each of these three things: the nature walks, object lessons, and nature journal. So I'll go into more detail about how to do that. Then you're doing an object lesson once a week, or even sometimes just twice a month, depending on if you can find something to do an object lesson for. So for object lesson, it is simply observing a live animal or plant. Now, you could do this out in on a nature walk, out in the habitat that the animal or plant lives in, or you could bring it in case of twigs or something that's easy to bring into the kitchen table and observe there. Now you're just looking at it and you are noticing, you are wondering, and you're thinking, what does this remind me of? Now, I do both object lessons outside on our nature walk sometimes, and sometimes I do it inside. And I like to use the Handbook of Nature Study by Anna Comstock. Now, it is a huge volume. It's like 800 pages, but Living Book Press has broken them down into different individual subjects. So the one I'm showing on the video is the book for birds. And so it makes it easier to take that smaller book with you out on the field if you're going on a nature walk. Now, it's full of questions that you can use. And again, I'll go into detail on the video about that. Then the last thing is nature journaling. This is where your child is narrating pretty much what they have learned. They're not filling out worksheets. They're not filling in the blanks. They are looking at a blank page and they are drawing to the best of their ability what they see in front of them. Now, it's not supposed to be beautiful. It's just supposed to be accurate. So they're looking at whatever they saw, or if it was out on a nature walk that you saw the thing, I like to take a picture of it after they've observed it and then bring it in, and we can look at the picture there or print it off for them to look at and put in their nature journal. So we're looking at the plant or animal, recording it, and you can draw a picture. If they're young, if your children are young, then you can write down what they have observed. But in theory, or I guess what it really comes down to is it's a narration, what your child has learned, what they've noticed. So what place do books have in this nature study, or this method of studying nature? Should we study books or read books? Should we not? Well, I've read quite a few parent review articles, and I've also read Charlotte Mason's volumes multiple times, especially Home Education, where she talks more about nature study. And books are very beneficial if they're helping your child answer questions. So if your child is looking at a spider, say, because that's what we're studying right now with my family. So we're studying spiders, and they put a lot of questions down, like, I wonder why this, I wonder what it eats, I wonder how, all of these I wonders. If you can't find the answer by observing the real thing, then I think books are the best place to go and to find answers to those questions that your children have. The books should not replace the observing real things. The books should be a supplement and a way to get them excited to go out and learn more about the things in nature. So that is how I use books. And those are the 3 things that I do for nature study. We're reading books a couple times a week. We are going on a nature walk, a long nature walk once a week. We don't do our nature journal during that time. We're just observing. And if we happen to find our special study topic or something interesting on our walk, then we will do an object lesson. And if not, then we'll bring some of our treasures home, and we'll do an object lesson at home and record our observations in our nature journal. And I do that once a week. And I kind of carve out all of our Wednesday, because it's just that hump day when you need some reprieve from the mundane aspects of the week. And so it's just kind of in the middle of the week on Wednesday is our nature day. And we do just a light school. We do our math, our language arts, which would just be copy work, and our family gather time. And then we go out on our nature walk, observe things, and come home, do an object lesson, and then record in our nature journals. And so that is how I study nature. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you're always notified when new videos come out.